Hey there, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about four super easy ways to enhance your canine fitness program, to enhance your dog's fitness level. They're not top secret, nothing really special. Some of you probably know these, but they're going to be a really good reminder, and they're simple. You can apply them in various levels of fitness, whether you're talking about cardio, whether you're talking about strength training, whether you're talking about flexibility, whatever it is. It could be sports specific, looking at agility, looking at IPO. It really can go across all areas. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. 4 simple things. I'm going to try to keep this straight and to the point, and then I'll do some question and answers afterwards. So y'all, thank you so much for joining me today. If this is your first time, my name is Erica Boling. I am the owner and founder of Northeast Canine Conditioning. I love helping people take their sport dogs or working dogs or active family pets and turning them into elite canine athletes. And I also have a passion for helping people on the business side of things, especially either expanding or growing or creating their businesses, moving them online. So welcome, say hello. Let me know. I'm really curious if you're here joining me live. Let me know what kind of activities do you do with your dog? So when you think about fitness, like what does that incorporate? And if you don't have like a set fitness routine, that's okay. What kind of activities do you do with your dog fitness wise, even if it's not structured? Type that down and let me know. I see that we've got some viewers here, some people posting, and like I said, I want to see, because I might pull in some of those examples. So as I mentioned, with Northeast Canine Conditioning, and I'm going to be sharing with you 2 important concepts. These 4 principles that we're going to be talking about, you have to keep in mind these 2 concepts to help you understand how they're going to be effective. So again, thank you so much. I see Conchetta's here. I see Caitlin was posting earlier. So all right, so the first concept, you ready? You guys ready? Okay, the first concept is this concept of overload, progressive overload. And the idea here is that you have to progressively place greater demands on the body, greater than normal demands on the body, so that the body can adapt over time and get better. So if I'm going to be weightlifting, right? If I'm doing strength training, if I'm always lifting, 20 pounds all the time, and I'm not progressively challenging my body a little more, I'm going to just kind of flatten out. I'm always going to be lifting 20 pounds. I'm never going to go beyond. So that's one of the ideas we want to keep across the board when we talk about enhancing canine fitness. Okay, so I want you to keep in mind this idea of progressive overload. And if we have any human fitness fans here, whether you're a runner, you work out, or if you do sports, I'd be curious in knowing what you do. So the other concept, remember I said there were 2 concepts. The second concept is exercise variation. And this is also, it kind of goes along with the idea of the overload theory, in that we have to add some variety to our exercise. And, the variety could be completely changing the type of exercise we're doing, right? But variety could also mean, like, if I'm on the treadmill every day, well, not every day. If I'm on the treadmill 2 days a week or 3 days a week, and I'm always doing the same speed, the same distance, the same incline, okay? If we really want to get better fitness-wise, we have to have some variation. Because again, our body, we're going to reach a plateau where our bodies, we're just going to kind of reach that peak at that point, and we're not going to get any better. We're not going to get faster. We're not going to get stronger. We're not going to get more flexible. And this is the same with our dogs. Okay, does that make sense? So, all right, you ready? We're going to go the four things, and I'm going to give you some examples. I'm going to give you some cardio examples, but I want you to remember that these can apply outside of cardio. You can apply these concepts to strength training, to flexibility. Okay, so the first thing is frequency. All right, so this is kind of the obvious, probably the first thing that people think about is if I'm taking my dog out and whatever exercise I'm doing, and I'm only doing it 1 day a week, right? One of the easiest ways to increase fitness is to do it more frequently. And Now there's some challenges that, because one of the big challenges is a challenge of time. And I'm going to show some ways to enhance fitness without having to add, a lot of extra time to your day, right? So when we're thinking of frequency could be, I'm going to do it 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, 4 days a week. I'm going to be building up frequency. It might also, you might do it. I know somebody the other day, we were talking about how they take their dog out for exercise in the morning before they go to work and then when they come home. So there the frequency, maybe it's 4 days a week, 5 days a week, but it's 2 times in it 1 day, okay? So there's a couple different ways that we can, mix up the frequency. But I think the most common people probably think about, now if we're doing, if we're working on equipment, frequency, we might be talking about, the repetitions, okay? And I think one of the rules that it's not a hardcore rule, but one of the things I noticed with Knox, because people always want to know, like, well, how many days and, where do we start and, how many days in a row? If your dog doesn't have a set fitness program and you're very sporadic, your dog's body hasn't had a chance to adapt to whatever exercise because you're not doing it frequently enough. So if you're only doing an exercise once a week, once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks, you got to start from ground zero and just say, okay, we're going to start 1 day a week and we're going to build up from that. What I saw when I was doing Canicross and running with Knox is I found that when I was doing it twice a week with other things, but my goal was to improve his running. I wanted to increase distance and I wanted to increase the time, the amount of time I was running with him in Canicross. And so I noticed that when I was doing 2 days a week, he was just kind of maintaining. He wasn't run after run, week after week. I wasn't noticing him handling the running any better. We would do 3 miles, 3 miles, 3 miles. The pace, I would see him fatiguing like he normally would. And I noticed that when I moved it up to 3 days a week, very quickly I started to see improvement. And that kind of mimics what I see with my own body when I go to the gym, kind of thinking of 2 days a week, kind of maintaining, bare minimum maintaining. And then if I want to actually start increasing and getting stronger, faster, more flexible, you want to start aiming towards, 3 days a week, 4 days a week. Depending on the intensity of what you're doing, it might be more, but rest and recovery is also important. So yeah, Michael was saying you have to build up from that too, not just your dogs. Exactly. Think about what you do as a human. Okay. So frequency. All right. So that's the first thing. If your dog is only getting a certain type of exercise 1 day a week, then the next thing you can say is, okay, when can I add it in 1 more day? Right. Add some frequency. Now, if your dog's already doing it really frequently and you probably maybe you don't want to add more frequency, stay tuned. I'm going to go over 3 other things that you can do to improve fitness. Okay, so frequency. The next thing is, I really like this next one because the next one is a way that you can enhance fitness without adding extra days and without adding extra time. Okay, can you guys guess what it is? So it's another one that we can increase fitness and we're not adding more days and we're not adding more time. We're not spending more time running. And it's increasing intensity, increasing the intensity. So let me give you some examples. All right, so intensity for running, okay? Increasing intensity running might be running faster, right? So maybe I run for 15 minutes and I'm just kind of casual, and then now I'm going to run 15 minutes, but I'm going to push myself harder. So I'm still at 15 minutes, right? I'm not increasing my time running. I'm not, I'm not adding extra days. But if you take your regular intensity level that you work your dog in, whatever it is, and if you bump up the level of intensity, you're starting to enhance fitness because you're starting to push the body beyond what you do day to day to day, right? You're starting to push beyond normal. And so, so let me give you some other examples. Another example with running might be if I just do a steady jog. Well, now I might do interval. I might mix it up and go fast, slow, and I mix it up. And so I'm going to be pushing some sprinting. Another thing for intensity, another thing that you can do for intensity is to think about when you increase the dog's level of drive. So if my dog, let's say that my dog he's running, I call him and he runs to me and I pet him, right? Or I call him and he runs to me for a tug toy. Well, let's say that he loves the tug toy more than he loves getting pet by me. So I can increase the intensity of the playing and the drive and the work by raising the reward, and his excitement for the reward. Now he's going to work harder. He's going to work more intensely because I've increased the reward. So sometimes, you know, by just simply changing up your reward system or the frequency of your reward can get your dog more excited and more driven and more motivated. And that's like for cardio, that's excellent for building intensity. Let me give you a couple of other examples. Okay, swimming. So swimming intensity might be, I throw a toy, he swims, he comes back, he shakes the water off, you take the toy again, you throw it out, he swims, he comes back, walks on land, shakes the water off. Now, if I want to increase swimming intensity, what I'll do is I cut down on those in between rest times. Now, what I might build up to continuous swimming. So normally maybe I take them to the lake, and normally we play fetch for 20 minutes. And then now I'm not instantly going to go from playing fetch to continuous swimming for 20 minutes. You have to gradually build up. But I could spend the same amount of time, 20 minutes, but if I want my dog to get a better workout, increase the intensity or change the toy to something he's more driven, or, you know, throw it further so that he has to swim harder because he's so excited to get it, right? So when you think about intensity, think about the dog's energy and drive, especially for cardio, because that can help you. Yeah, Michael said adding a higher platform on the treadmill, putting on an incline, that's going to add intensity. What about here? Okay, let me give you another example. Let's say protection sports, police dogs, patrol work, all right? A dog's biting, sport specific, work specific. So how do I increase the intensity of the biting, of the bite work that we're doing? Well, one thing that I can have a dog come and bite, and the decoy or the helper can be stationary and just kind of, you know, not really moving. To increase the intensity, when the dog's biting, the decoy can start like fighting the dog, trying to get away and pulling and, you know, acting aggressive. So there I'm adding intensity to the protection work, to the patrol work and the bite work that the dog's doing. Another thing that you could do is to mix it up is the intensity. I might have the dog right in front of the decoy, you know, 1 foot away, and bite. And then if I want to increase the intensity, I might have the person running down the field, and the dog has to burst, you know, and sprint down the field, launch himself in the air, and then go bite. Okay, so think about sports specific type or work specific, how you can change the intensity. Let's talk about jumping. So how can we change the intensity of jumping? Well, we can raise the height. We can raise the height of the jump. We can change the terrain. Maybe they're jumping in sand. Maybe they're jumping. I was one time competing, and there was a hurdle, and the jump was a little bit uphill. Also in French ring, when we compete, we have, this is coming up. This is an intensity. Well, it is intensity, but I'm going to give you another example there in just a minute. But as you see, you can take different jobs and different sports and different activities and think about, okay, I only have 2 days a week to do it. I only have a half hour to an hour, and you've been doing the same thing week after week. How can you mix it up and increase fitness level, add intensity? Okay. Michael said add a bungee. Yeah, add a harness, and they're pulling on the bungee, and it's going to make it harder for them as they're coming in for the bite. We do that with the young dogs, the puppies and stuff, when we're training them. Not always young, even the older ones will do it to help with the bite technique. Okay, so that's number 2. So number 1 was frequency. Number 2 is intensity. And you're going to see a lot of these overlap. So if you change one of these, it kind of naturally affects the other sometimes. The number 3 is going to be the type. So change, you can add variation and change up the type of exercise that you're doing. Now, one thing that you can do to change up your exercise is you might change the exercise, right? So I might do swimming one day, and I might do jumping one day. I might do running another day, okay? So you can switch the type, but remember, if you're only doing it like 1 day a week or once every 2 weeks, that one particular activity, your dog's body isn't really having time to adapt to any changes. Because by the time you train, there's been so much downtime, whatever you gained from that training session, the dog's back to where he started, okay? So cross-training is great. Cross-training is great. But if you're doing too many just kind of sporadic things spread out throughout the month and there's no consistency, it's going to be hard to see progression and see your dog evolving and developing, getting stronger and faster and more flexible. So let me give you some ideas. So how might you change the type? Let's say we keep them within the same, relatively the same kind of exercise, but how do we change the type of exercise? Like I said, this is where you're going to see a little bit of overlap from the other areas. So I got a little chart here that I'm looking at the different examples. Okay, so running, changing the type of the running. So I can go from running to swimming. That's a completely different type of exercise. But let's say I want to maintain this idea of cardio and running. So one of the things that I can do to change it up is if my dog runs on the flat, I can have my dog do some hills. We have the underwater treadmills, right? We have where they're walking and trotting, but they're, you know, doing it in water. So those are some things that you can think about. Now notice here that if I'm trotting on land, flat, and then I trot on a hill, I'm changing the type of running, but I've also changed the intensity, right? I'm going to say more about that in a minute. But remember that sometimes one of these variables affects another. Okay, what about swimming? What about swimming? How can you change up the type, the kind of swimming you're doing? Any guesses? Any guesses? I'll give you maybe 2 examples, and you guys feel free to add more. So one of the things you might do for swimming is if I'm always swimming in a pond or a pool, my dog might go swim in a river where there's resistance, right? The water's flowing in the opposite way. I've known some people where they've had the dog swimming with a harness and they have kind of like a bungee. They put resistance. So the dog's swimming and is having some resistance in the water, right? Also think about dogs. I'm thinking about dogs trained to go and they're going to save people who are drowning. Or I've known people who've done this with some military working dogs, where the dog would go swimming and they'd have a harness and the handler would go in the water with them and hang onto the harness. And while they're swimming, they're pulling the handler, right? So now we're adding resistance to the swimming. And also, what are we doing? We're changing the intensity also, but we're changing up they're swimming and we're changing up the kind of swimming that they're doing. And remember, we can also completely change the type of activity. If my dog is swimming 5 days a week, maybe I want to add some running on land, right? To mix it up. So cross training is good. Let's see. Let me give you one more example for jumping now. So for type, here's the example I was going to give with French ring. I think this is a great example. The type of jumping. So in French ring or Mondio ring, we have a hurdle. It might be a 1 meter, 1.1, 1.2 hurdle where the dog just jumps straight up and over, right? Then there's a palisade, which is a wall. It could be like, I don't know the exact how high it is in feet, but it might be like 7, 8 feet or so. And here the dog can't hurdle it. They can't just jump over it like a hurdle. It's too tall. They have to literally, it's almost like jump and climb over the wall. So now they're changing the type of jumping that they're doing. And they may hook their feet at the top and kind of pull with their front feet as they're going over the top of the wall. And then you have the broad jump, where it's low and long. So this is a very different type of jump compared to the hurdle. So right there, we've just had 3 examples. They're all jumping. They're, it's great for strength training. They're, building up muscles from the launching in the hindquarters to the landing and the impact on the shoulders. But we've changed the type, right? So if you want to mix it up, if you're always doing one type of jump and your dog's been used to doing that same type of jump, you want to increase the fitness level, change to a different type of jump, make it more difficult. That's another way to add it. The next one. Okay, so let's do a quick rundown. Frequency, intensity, and changing the type of the work that you do. Remember I said we're going to go over 4 today. The 4th one. The 4th one is the duration. So the duration. So think about how long that you're going to be doing this activity. I'm going to give you some examples again. Ready for my examples? So duration. I think a lot of times when we think of duration, we'll be thinking about like minutes, right? If we're on a treadmill, okay, am I 5 minutes on the treadmill? Am I 10 minutes on the treadmill? Am I 20 minutes on the treadmill? Okay, duration. So that's probably the first thing that comes to mind. Now, let me throw this out at you here. Let's go back to our protection dogs, our patrol dogs, our biting dogs, right? Our ring sport, our Schutzhund, IPO dogs. How can we change up duration to help the overall fitness of the dog that's sports specific or work specific, right? Military working dog. So here, duration, think about, let's go back to the biting example. Let me see if anybody guessed where, so our dog is biting, right? The bad guy's trying to get away. The duration could be the amount of time, how long the dog maintains the mouth holding down on that grip, holding the bite, okay? It's not unusual when we have dogs used to doing the protection sports, maybe we only train 1 day a week, and then we can go to a 3-day seminar, and you'll talk to the trainers and the decoys, and they'll say by day 3, they can tell, it's not unusual to tell, they can tell that the dog's getting fatigued. The muscles in the jaw, the muscles in the neck, they're not used to doing 3 full days of this type of work. So if I want to build the endurance and build stamina and build it so that, if my dog's fighting the bad guy and he, when somebody's down the street running to catch up, that dog's got to hang on longer and longer. And has the dog developed the stamina, the mental stamina, and the physical endurance and the stamina to hold that? So that's one thing that we could do by just changing up something that's sport or work specific, by the duration of how long they're actually engaged in that activity you're going to increase the amount of time. Now for duration, when we think about jumping, we can go back to the types of jumps. Because sometimes even when I think about how long the dog is in the air on the broad jump, going this long distance versus up and over, a hop over a low jump, that's going to affect duration. But duration could also be, how long am I training that day? And how it could be how many repetitions of the jump that they're doing, but also thinking about the total amount of time that the dog is spending jumping. And this was going to go back to something I told you I wanted to kind of caution you guys about, and I wanted to revisit, is when you're looking at changing up, the duration, the number of days, the intensity, you have to be really thoughtful and you want to increase these variables. Ideally, you want to increase one variable at a time, but you can see how one variable affects more than one thing. So for example, if my dog is running up a hill, it's changing kind of the type of work he's doing, but it's also changing the intensity. But what you don't want to do is, if my dog's always running on the flat, and then now my dog's running on a hill, I don't want to start doing sprinting up a hill, because now I'm changing intensity, and I'm also changing, it might be the type. And now we're looking at speed, and we're looking at more power going up a hill. So you don't want to change too many variables at one time, because your dog's body hasn't had time to adapt to that exercise. So normally, if you want to get a nice foundation, be it on that foundation, whatever the distance, whatever the time, whatever the type of activity, you want to be on it for a few weeks before you start, and you want to do it more than one day a week, because you want the dog's body to be adapting and getting better. And then you want to increase it gradually. And one rule of thumb is that you're going to increase it if it's time to increase. If you only do it 1 day a week, you're not going to increase every week. Your dog's not getting an opportunity to have the body adapt to the exercise. But if you're doing it 2, 3, 4 days a week, you're doing it for a few weeks, and you're like, okay, this is really easy for my dog. It's time to increase the intensity. It's time to increase the incline on the treadmill. It's time to increase how much weight he's pulling, right, and weight pull. But one rule of thumb is to increase no more than 10% that week. So, so if you look at, how many miles, how many minutes is my dog running, you don't want to go from running 15 minutes on the treadmill and then the next week you run 20 minutes. Okay, that's more than 10%. And Also, you want to make sure, remember, if your dog doesn't have that structured regular routine and isn't doing it on a regular basis, go back and do it 1 day a week and build up. And then if your dog's used to going, let's say we're used to, swimming 3 days a week. I'm used to running 4 days a week. If you go off for the holidays and your dog doesn't do this activity, maybe he runs around in the yard and goes on hikes, but he doesn't do that specific activity for 3, 4, 5 weeks, you have to come back and you got to backtrack and take your dog back down. I like to kind of go back to like the bare bones. Let's go back to 1 day a week and maybe he can progress faster, but I'm going to adjust my training because the dog's body's been deconditioned. Even though maybe you're doing other types of cardio and other exercises, they aren't necessarily using the muscles in the same way as when you were doing those sports-specific or job-specific activities. So you also have to be keeping in mind the type of exercise and the type of way that the body is working. So it's not a one-to-one correlation. Just because my dog can swim for 20 minutes doesn't mean he can go and run on land for 20 minutes. So you need to make sure that the type of activity they've had time to develop over time and build up. So Michael said beach running versus grass running, changing things up. Swimming with a vest, be careful. You don't want to get it too heavy. And you want to make sure you properly condition the dog so that they can withstand it over time. Jamie says, love the advice to only increase one area at a time. That's really important. I see people, I think some of the biggest mistakes are people increase too quickly. They don't give their dogs, the body a chance to adapt. And another thing that people do is they train very sporadically. And so they'll be like, oh yeah, we were running 3 days a week, but that was like 4 weeks ago. And they took 3 weeks off. And then they just go back and just expect the dog to be right back where they left off. And so this argues, this is an argument for the, if you really, really want to enhance your dog's fitness, you want to document this. You want to be structured and you want to plan cardio, you want to plan strength training, you want to plan flexibility, and you want to know, okay, how many days a week did I do last week? And how long were we out, in the woods? And that's another thing. People say, okay, my dog goes hiking. We go hiking 3 days a week. Well, what does hiking mean? Some people, hiking mean the dog's off leash and they pee on this tree and they pee on that tree and they trot over there and they trot over there and they roll in the grass, right? For some people, hiking is they're in a mountainous area and they have multiple dogs and the dogs are racing up and back and up and back. So an hour of hiking is very different between those two individuals, okay? So you got to keep that in mind too. So one thing I did want to add is these are some principles principles of exercise science that you want to apply when you're building fitness programs. But there's a lot of other things to consider. How do these variables fit together? How do the different types of activities? What if I'm doing weight pulling one day? And what if I want to do flexibility? And what if I want to do cardio? And how do I structure it across the week? And, this gets complicated because if you don't structure it correctly, and if you don't build in the correct way, and if you overload the dog's body too soon when they're not ready, you can actually, instead of getting your dog more fit, you actually can end up with an injured dog that's not fit to go out and do a 20-minute hike. And the other problem is if you don't do it correctly and increase it in the proper way, you may be out there spending day after day after day after day, and your dog doesn't show any improvement because you haven't structured it properly. And so I just wanted to throw out there that if this is something that interests you, I wanted to remind people that I have the Elite Canine Athlete Program. It's an online program that can lead to a certified canine athlete specialist or a certified canine athlete advisor certification. And it's like a 6-month kind of like it's an online program, but you get ongoing mentoring and support from me. And if this is something that interests you and you want to learn more and you want to make sure you do it safely, you want to make sure that, you do it so that you see progression and improvement in your dog, but you want to make sure that you're doing it safely. And also, sometimes we have very specific end goals. Maybe you're training for a canine biathlon. Maybe you're training for a national competition. So now it gets even more challenging because we want to build up our dog to peak performance, But now we want to reach peak performance at a specific period in time, right? That competition or that event or that, you know, that big hiking trip you have coming up. So it gets complicated when you're trying to put all the pieces together, but it's totally something that you can learn, grounded in, you know, things on like exercise science and stuff that we can know that we're doing it in a smart way. It's not just guessing on how to put these things together. So I had a link. Let me see if I can find it here. I do have a brochure if you want to find it on the internet. You can also just message me and I'll send it to you. But it's a shortened URL. It's tinyurl.com/caninefit if you want to look at the brochure about the program. So I'm actually between sessions. I'm going to be doing like a public announcement in a little while, but I do sometimes have a few spots where I take people in between sessions for ongoing enrollment. So if it's something that you're interested in, I always have limited spots, and sometimes it fills before I ever make any public announcement. So if you're interested, make sure you contact me right away. Even if you're interested, but maybe you want to, you know, hold off and take it the next section, because I have a waiting list of people already. So if you're interested, make sure you contact me right away. So Barb, thank you for joining us. Barb says, I train every day 2 to 3 times a day. That's how I'm reading it. Sometimes it seems some days are more of a workout for him than others. Tug work, ball reward. You know, there's a lot of reasons why. I mean, sometimes, you know, our biorhythms, right? Humans, right? Our biorhythms are just off. Sometimes we're a little dehydrated. Pay close attention to humidity and temperature. Humidity and temperature can play a big role in that. Humidity, temperature, the time of day. You know, maybe your dog's, you know, does better in the evening, and maybe you're training earlier in the day. Also think about when you're feeding your dog. When did your dog eat in relation to when you're working the dog? But it can be a number of things. It could be, you know, just pre-exercise preparation from what they're eating to hydration. My dogs are really, my 2 Malinois, they really are affected by humidity. It could be a 70-degree day and same time of day, all the conditions are the same, but the humidity is different, and I'll see a big difference in my dogs. But 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3, if it's 2 to 3 times a day, every day, overtraining might be an issue. And just like humans, you know, dogs can get kind of burnt out. And it's not unusual for, you know, these high-level competition dogs. Well, maybe it is unusual, but the people who really structure it and do it smartly when it comes to fitness, you'll see some of these people where they're working all year for a big event, and they have their big national or international event, and sometimes they'll give their dog a month or 2 off. Not off of, you know, the dog can still exercise and run and play, but it's like they'll take like a month or 2 off of the real structured fitness program because the dog just needs to kind of decompress and, you know, it needs that downtime and recovery time. So it could be a number of things. It could be a number of things from physical overtraining, mental overtraining, to the conditioning and the environment and variables that could affect your dog building up to it. I would document. What I would do is I would document really closely your training. I would document, you know, the time, the length, when they eat, if you're training outside, I would document humidity and temperature, and you might start to see a pattern. You might start, if you have the data, you might start, I'm guessing if you get enough data collected over time, you will probably see a pattern, and that will tell you something, I think, right there. So hope that was helpful. Other questions, you guys? I'm looking through here at the comments in case I missed any. Awesome. So again, let me just pull this up one more time. If this is your first time, thank you for joining me. I am here on Facebook, my Northeast Canine Conditioning Facebook business page, every Friday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes our topics are fitness related. Sometimes they're more business related. Sometimes they're motivational and inspirational related for life in general. It applies to dogs too. But if you are interested in the Elite Canine Athlete Program and my becoming certified as a certified canine athlete specialist, you can go and download the brochure. You can message me on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. You can email me. But here's the URL, tinyurl.com/K9, the letter K, the number 9, fit, K9 fit. Or just reach out and message me, and or even indicate in the comments, put brochure, K9 brochure, and I will, I'll send it out to you if you guys have any questions about that. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. I will be here again next week. Topics vary. I'm always open if you have any questions. Sometimes we just do a Q&A. Sometimes it's an open Q&A, but I'm always open for any topics, questions, anything that you want to discuss, let me know. I'm always looking for new ideas. And if you thought this was helpful, if there was anything here that was helpful or useful, informative, if it was helpful for you, chances are it's going to be helpful and informative to somebody else. So please, please feel free to share it. If you're watching the replay, I do go back. I do read comments. So even if it's the replay, go ahead and comment. And again, reach out to me if you want more information. And I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. And if you want to catch me live and ask questions and engage in conversations, go ahead and join us live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Northeast Canine Conditioning on our Facebook page. So have a great evening. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.